Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Nice to see you again. Today we're back in the fish room and I'm going to be doing some work on Megatank, OG Megatank 1. This is my DIY aquarium. I built this a few years ago. It's 8 foot by 4 foot by 3 foot. And it's home to a number of fish now. Looking really good fish wise. We've got a couple of peacock bass, loads of massive silver dollars, Oscars, catfish, all kinds of things in here. And I added these disgusting, horrible, artificial plants last time to deal with some aggression issues. And unfortunately, it's worked, so I'm going to have to keep them. No, obviously it's a good thing that it has worked, but it's not very aesthetically pleasing to me, and as it's my fish room, I'd like to make it a little better. If I'm completely honest, they've started to grow on me. I can see the appeal of just having a bit more in there to kind of break up sight lines and that kind of stuff. The fish are acting differently, a little bit more naturally, possibly. So I'm happy with it, but I'm not happy with the look. I don't like day glow orange and green. It will fade over time because that's just the way these things work, but I want to see if I can make it a little bit better. So the theory is that having more stuff in the tank is breaking up sight lines. It's giving fish a chance to escape from each other, to get a bit of respite, to chill the hell out a little bit, and stop trying to kill each other all the time. Along with a few other things of making sure I'm feeding appropriately and keeping everybody happy, water quality up, all those normal things, this is definitely adding to it. So I want to see if I can do a slightly different approach of add more stuff to tank to break up sight lines that's not quite as jarring to the visual senses. So I've been on my old favourite, Facebook Marketplace, and I've got myself a really good deal on some bits of wood, some old oak roots and things. There are the pieces of wood that I've got. That is 3 different pieces that just happen to be lying next to each other, so looks like one big bit. But no banana for scale, sorry, you'll just have to imagine a banana making them look very good. They're quite big, let's put it that way. You'll see them when they get in the tank. So my thought is here, if I can add them in there, that'll build up a little bit more hardscape, which is a little bit more pleasing to the eye, still giving fish places to escape to, behind, hide away. I'm going to keep these plants for now, but I'm going to start adding in more and more actual live plants to see if any of them will be tolerated, because I know over the years of doing this, some plants to fish like silver dollars, for instance, are just delicious. You plant something in there, it's just giving them an expensive treat. Some plants they don't like, and they might have a nibble of and decide they don't like them. So there are some things, more of the tougher things like giant valves, things like that, that aren't necessarily appealing. I've had that suggested a few times in the videos that I've made recently. That's why I don't want to try some of those. Yeah, why not? I have tried them in the past with other plant-loving species, and yeah, they just ate them. That's not to say these guys will do the same thing. So I'm going to trial it with a few live plants, so a few sacrificial lambs, shall we say, of the live plant variety, just to see how they get on before going all out and adding hundreds of pounds worth of plants in here. But really happy with how the fish are behaving. It's just a case of getting it looking a bit nicer, and to work a little bit better. I don't like having the plants spread out all over the place at the moment, because that's causing a problem with feeding. There's a feeding hole on top here where I feed normally. It's dropping into the plants and the fish are just bashing into the plants and knocking them everywhere. And so we'll try and avoid that. But regular maintenance day, I'm going to give everything a bit of a clean, do a bit of a water change, and then we're going to add in some of the new Hardscape and see if we can rearrange things to make it a little bit more appealing. So first off, I just thought I'd show you the water change routine. Everybody asks me about it all the time. Essentially, I just turn on the pipe to fill it with fresh water from my HMA filter. I'll have videos on the channel if you want to know what an HMA filter is, but basically it removes all the chlorine and it just drips water in there. I then get something like this, lift up the lid, prop it open, and then I can get in there where I have my normal, this is what I use for the other tanks, because that's about the right size to draw water out of most tanks, but this one's a little bit deeper than others, so I have a little bit of an extension bar. Get in there, siphon, and then I have a hose, a pipe here that just takes the wastewater outside. So I just go around and get as much detritus as I can, really, emptying as much water as I can, and then I've got a cleanish tank to start with. Normally, when I'm doing water changes and I'm not siphoning out, I just add water, and then the sump automatically has a sump pump in it that when it fills up so much, it empties into the same overflow pipe. But I want to get as much heat out as possible, so let's go on with that. It's just a case of going around anything that I can visibly see that's fish poop, because with big fish come big poops. And get it out. It's get quite boring after a while. It's basically 20 minutes of this. So that's the current as is. And basically I'm just going to move all those fake plants out the way and get the wood in to some kind of semblance of order that I like. I have like a little cave over there that I want to incorporate in the wood, and then I'll put these back, but more towards the back. I want lots of open swimming areas at the front, but with lots of refuge areas, so as if the big fish do get a bit too boisterous, the silver dollars have got somewhere to go. Because these guys, lovely as they are, it's just natural. They're not trying to be mean. So there should be enough space in there for everybody. Let's see if we can make it work. Okay, eine kleine problemo. It did not occur to me that these would not sink. The weight of these pieces of wood made me think they were already waterlogged and that they would go straight to the bottom. I've had them sitting outside in the peeing rain for ages. I've jet washed them, bathed them in big massive totes. But yes, still a little bit floaty, which is fine. Probably. Just means we need to think of a new plan. So, we might have to make this a two-stage thing where I don't put them in the final position that I want them. I weigh them down with rocks for a few weeks, months, however long it takes, until they are properly waterlogged. I mean, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on that to hold it in place. It's nearly there. In fact, there are a few bubbles coming out of this, so maybe it'll just take a little bit of time. But if I can get them roughly in place, wedged down with rocks or something, and then we can do the proper scape later. I still think it's valuable in that this takes up a bit of space and gives areas where things can hide, and I can still do the planting testing. So yeah, let's do that. That's annoying, but fine, whatever. Right, I'll get on and do this with the bits of wood that I want to do it with, and then we'll come back and see how it looks. Okay, so a couple of days later, I've weighed down these two with a big rock, basically. The other one at the back there, it was kind of submerged already, so I just left that one to sink, which it has now done. So I'm guessing that because that one has sunk on its own and these two were nearly there, weighing it down for the rock for a couple of days will help these ones get waterlogged enough that I can now manoeuvre them. So this is the point in the video where you find out if it's worked and I find out what the title of the video is going to be. Is it going to be I tried to aquascape the Megatank, or I actually aquascaped it? The other thing I've just noticed, or I haven't just noticed, but the tannins that are coming off these, a lot of people really don't like tannins. I really do like tannins. It's given this a really cool look. It's a lot darker water, and I think it just suits everything a little bit better. It looks more natural, even with these stupid plants in here. I hate the plants a little bit less like this, the fake plants. But fish are still fine, even just like this. These are just dumped in here somewhere that I could get them to sink. The silver dollars are interacting with all this. It's created like a network of caves and stuff, and all the fish are kind of interacting with them a little bit better. So, seems like a theory is going to pan out. Now we just have to figure out whether or not it actually worked. Turned off the light so as you can hopefully see a little bit better what I'm doing. I'm going to start with this one. So my idea was to have that one's quite a tall one at the back here. If I can get that one to kind of sit upright and cover this little cave that I've made down here. And then these ones are going to go towards the back here. Hopefully. Let's see if they do actually. Might need me grabber for this. So it is actually sinking, so that's good. Get out of the way, you stupid fish. It's still got a bit of buoyancy to it. It's not quite sitting the way I want it to sit. But it's nearly there. Some fettling is required. Bear with me. So this big one is still floating. The smaller of the two is sinking a bit. Not quite what I had in mind with that rock there, but that rock holding that down is kind of in the position that I wanted it to be, because it creates a natural cave that you can get in and under. So I'm just going to leave that there for however long it takes, because it's kind of in exactly the position I want it to be in. So we'll leave that there for a couple of weeks. That's not a problem. Everything else is exactly where I want it, I think. So I've obviously messed up the tank, kicked off loads of bits of stuff that's all floating around, so it looks really not clear, shall we say. So we'll let it clear up for a bit, do another big water change, clear up the surface, and then maybe get a couple of plants in as testers. Right, cleared up a little bit. I'm going to try a couple of plants. So I've got a couple of giant vals here, not particularly giant vals, but these are often listed as plants that fish that like to eat plants don't like to eat these, so not tasty leaves. Also in there, big Amazon swords, some big Anubias that I've got. I'll try out some of them, so I'm just going to bung them in and I'll show you when I've got them. I've got my extra long aquascaping tweezers to help me save my armpits. I'll check back in with you when I've planted. I'm just going to dot them around. Not aquascaping at this point because it's just a test. So I've just started putting in some of the plants, and one of the ones I was going to put in is this Anubias heterophylla, because it's got quite a thick leaf and it's quite tough, and it often appears on lists of things fish don't like eating, and nobody's bought one of these off the website for ages. So I was just about to put it in. My computer beeped, somebody's bought the last two. So I'm happy that people are buying my plants, but so I thought that was quite funny. So this one I'm going to pot back up and send out to somebody. So if you see this in the video, say hello, that's my plant. and I'll send this to you soon. For the actual plants, I've put in a couple of valves, I've put in a couple of Amazon swords that were already getting eaten by brine in the tank over there, just to see how they get on. So I might chuck in a couple of others, maybe some Java Firs or something, just to throw them in there. They're not in any way scaped or anything, they're just there to see whether or not they get nibbled. So I'll just need to monitor it over the next couple of weeks, and if they don't, then I might think about scaping it properly and replacing them over time, the plastic plants with real plants, because that is the ideal that we'll get to. So far, in the 5 minutes that we've had plants in there, nobody seems remotely interested in them. But there's been a lot of changes going on, so maybe they're just all getting used to things, but we'll see how we get on. I have added a bunch of tester plants, basically some Amazon swords, some giant valves. I do have more, but I thought, why risk it? That's more than enough. If they leave them alone, then we'll try a few more. And then in a few weeks, once I'm sure that the wood's settled, we might do a proper aquascape. I'll buy a boatload of plants, see if I can't get this looking a lot more natural. I'm really liking how it's looking with the tannins and everything, but yeah, we'll test out these plants, see how we go on. There's one more thing I want to add to this tank, which isn't a plant, it's another fish. Decided to add the black ghost knife fish, which was sharing a tank with Brian the giant gourami. If you've been following along, you'll know this, but he was in Megatank 2, which is my 12-foot tank, just destroying aquascape, eating all the little fish. So I moved them in with Brian. They've been getting on fine, but I really want Brian to be in that tank alone because it's not really big enough for him. So for me to get as much time as possible of him in that tank, I really need to have him in there alone with just his bio load. They weren't fighting or anything, but there just wasn't an awful lot of places for this one to hide, so he wasn't really very active. Whereas now, in here, he's got all kinds of nooks and crannies. Again, I've never seen him go for these type of plants, so hopefully that'll be okay. And hopefully the other fish will tolerate him okay, and he will tolerate them. I mean, he's a good 12 inches, 14 inches if not. He's a big old fish, so he should be fine in here. He'll find lots of nooks and crannies, and there's plenty of food in here that he can eat as well. So hopefully that'll be a good addition that we see every now and again. Let's get him in. So immediately, two of the peacock bassies were very interested in what he was, but they just had a look and didn't do anything else. Fish is a friend, not food. So he's over in that corner now, doing his thing. I'm hoping they're just being inquisitive and they're not thinking he's food. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. If not, I was hoping he would go and find a little cave to hide in. He'll sort himself out. What I hope he doesn't do is dig a hole and make that rock fall over. That would not be good. But yeah, go and have an explore, you'll be fine. So, that is it. It's kind of hard to see on camera quite what's going on, especially with it being such dark water now with the tannins. But black ghost's in there. New plants are also in this area. I'll just get some close-ups here so as I can compare notes afterwards, because there are a couple of them that were already had a little bit of nibble from Brian the gourami who had nibbled them, so I can always compare later. See, that is the dumbest fish I've ever met. All these caves all over here. Put a lot of thought into making caves out of this stuff, and he's just under the smallest bit of wood ever. Anyway, all the other fish all doing well. I have been watching this quite closely, and the silver dollars are making fun of all these, not making fun of, making good use of, and seem to be having fun making use of all these little holes and trails that they can go through. I've even had the Oscar and a couple of the Azul peacock basses have been checking out some little areas, and I think they're all claiming bits of territory. No fighting or anything, but everyone looks happy. So I think this is going to work out quite well. They're definitely interested. I think they're going, what the hell is that? I've never seen a fish like that before. Is it a fish? Is it a big worm? I don't know. But yeah, so far nobody's touched any of the plants, so fingers crossed. The next video on this tank will be me scaping with lots of plants and not that precarious rock balanced up there. It is quite secure. I have given it a good shuggle to make sure that it's not going to be loose and fall and smash things. So looks to be okay. Right folks, that's about it for this one. I'm going to finish it off with a bit of a feeding, because that's one of the best things you can do with this tank. It's one of the reasons I love this so much, is these bass especially, but all of the fish are such aggressive feeders. I love feeding this tank. So we'll leave it after I've done the feeding. If you wouldn't mind, come along and join us on a Friday night, 9 PM UK time. We do a live stream every week. Fun, games, chat, and all the rest. If you've got any questions or comments or suggestions of plants to try, stick them in the comments if you can't make it to the live stream. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me. Let's try them out with some of these. They kind of know what's coming. Oh, it's going to make me a liar. It's only one of the peacock basses going for it so far. So they get that, and then the silver drillers get all the little bitties. They go around. They're almost like a cleanup crew. I've never seen like 7-8 inch fish that are actually cleanup crew. But don't worry, everyone gets a proper diet as well. That was just a little bit of a treat. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Hope you like this kind of thing. If you do, click subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye.